So hello, I am doing something a bit different today. I'm going to try a reading vlog, and basically I don't know how many books I'll read as part of this. I'll just see how I get on, but I wanted to basically do kind of live reactions to a couple of new releases that are out that I've been highly anticipating. And the first one that I'm going to start today is Secrets of the Brother by Zoe Blake, and this is book 3 in the Cavalieri Billionaire series. I really like Zoe Blake's books. She normally does mafia romances with Russian heroes, and they are always over the top, completely obsessive, dominant, protective alpha males. And she has recently started a new series, like I said, the Cavalieri Billionaire romances. These ones are actually set in Italy. The heroes are not directly linked to the mafia, but they are billionaires who own their own wine vineyard in Italy, and have a lot of power and sway in the town where they kind of live and are based. And they definitely do have ties to criminal organisations, other kind of billionaires who have maybe made their money in unscrupulous ways, and they are absolutely not afraid to stand up for their family, and will do anything, including violence and possibly murder, to protect not only their businesses but the women that they love. So it's been a great series so far. I've absolutely been loving it, and like I say, I'm just about to start the third book in the series, and I will dive in now, and I will come back to you when I'm, a good portion into the book, to let you know how I'm getting on. And I'll see you soon. Right, so I'm now about 51% through the book, and I am loving it so far. This one follows Enzo, who is the eldest son of the Cavalieri family, and he was married to a lady called Renata. Now, in books 1 and 2, Renata caused quite a few problems. We know that Enzo was forced to marry her because she tricked him into sleeping with her, claimed that she was pregnant, and he married her because he believed that she was pregnant with his child. And through the course of books 1 and 2, we realise that that may be not the case. And at the end of book 2, Renata is actually murdered. And so this book starts where they are attending Renata's funeral, and Renata's sister turns up at the funeral and is very, very angry with Enzo and slaps him in church in front of everybody. And then it transpires that this sister, Bianca, is in fact Enzo's true love, and they were actually in love with each other, and he was dating her, and then basically Renata tricked him into sleeping with her, and this obviously broke Bianca's heart. And as a result, because he was marrying her sister, she went away to New York, and that's where she's been, and she's just now returned for the funeral. But things are not quite as they seem. We know that Renata wasn't the only one who was meddling and doing bad things, and her parents are somehow involved and now are trying to force Bianca into an arranged marriage with another man. But of course Enzo is not too happy, and he wants Bianca for himself, but it's all very difficult because obviously he's now supposed to be the grieving widow. Some people think that he is the one that's actually murdered his wife, and it would be very unseemly for him to start a relationship so soon with what was his sister-in-law. So it's very, very complicated and difficult, but still it is really exciting. I've been eating this one up. I've whizzed through this one, got to 51% pretty quickly this afternoon. Really, really loving it. Love the hero. He's just as intense and dominant, as possessive as all of Zoe Blake's heroes normally are. And so far the heroine is trying to resist him. She thinks he's very toxic, but she still loves him and is just trying to come to terms with what that actually means for her and the family. But she's in a very tricky situation herself because her parents are not being nice to her. They're pretty much forcing her to into an arranged marriage with another man. And so it's all getting very, a very tangled web is being weaved. So I'm going to crack on now, and hopefully I'll come back to you at the end of the book and let you know how I got on. Right, okay, so it is now the next morning. I have finished Secrets of the Brother. I finished it last night. It wasn't overly late, but it was probably too late for me to, it would be too dark really for me to have done a clip. And I wanted some time to sort of process it, and I tried to explain what happened to my husband, because by the time I put the book down, this was amazing. It was absolutely brilliant. I totally loved it. But it's hard to explain what happens in the book because the plot is coming right through books 1 and 2. So if you haven't read those, I don't want to spoil those. And then this very much ends not on a cliffhanger for the couple. The couple do get their happy ever after, but it very much ends on a cliffhanger from a plot line perspective. And also, when this series first came out, I generally thought there was only going to be 3 books because there's a father and 2 sons, and that's who we've been following so far. But now there's going to be 5 books as a minimum, and so the hero who's going to be in book 4, we only kind of really get introduced to him in this book. And I'm very excited to see his story. It's basically Baroni Cavalieri's brother, and Baroni is sort of like the head of the family. He's the dad of these 2 sons, and this brother seems like he is a little bit unhinged, a little bit crazy, and if he's more unhinged and crazier than the Cavalieri men that we've seen so far, then that book is going to be quite a ride, so I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, getting back to this particular book, like I said, I absolutely loved it. Thought it was absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to the next book. Where we ended up, I can't remember where we got up to, but I was about 51% of the way through when I last checked in. But essentially, the hero in this one, Enzo, his ex-wife is dead. She's been murdered. Everyone thinks he's done it. But really, Renata, who was his wife, who has died, basically got involved with some really bad men. They were trying to use the Cavalieri name to do some bad business, get plots of land, take over some land, and do some other shady dealings. And she, I think, got a little bit too big for her boots, and the bad man that she was working with ended up killing her. But of course, the Cavalieris know that they didn't murder her, that someone else did, but they don't know who this man is. They're trying to track him down and find out. And meanwhile, this story, in terms of the love story, revolves around Renata's sister, Bianca, who was really Enzo's true love. They were dating. He didn't want to reveal his dark side to her, though, because she was such a sweet and innocent girl. And Renata kind of steps in, tricks him into sleeping with her, then claims that she's married, and he's kind of she claims that she is pregnant, and then he kind of, for honourable reasons, he chooses to marry her, and in the process breaks Bianca's heart. But now Bianca is back. He's trying to win her back, he's trying to get her back, and although Bianca loves him, she knows that the relationship is really toxic, and he's struggling really to come to terms with how would she get together with her, her ex-boyfriend, but also her ex-brother-in-law, and make all of that kind of right. Of course, he is not going to take no for an answer, is he? He's a Cavalieri man, so he pretty much railroads her, forces her into taking her back, and he's not going to send her away or make life easy for her. So overall, really enjoyed the love story, but I'm also really enjoying the plot in the background in terms of what's happening, and can't wait for the next instalment to figure out what's going on. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading next. I wanted to read Anti-Hero by Sara Cate, because that's another new release that's just come out this week. And I really liked the Salacious Players Club series, so I was keen to give this one a go. But after reading the book last night, I feel like I might not fancy that one, so we'll see if I end up picking that up. I'm sure I will read it very soon, so if that's not the next one, then I don't know what it will be, but I'll pick something else to read, and I'll come back to you to let you know what that's going to be and how I'm getting on with it. So see you in my next clip. Right, hello. So it is now Tuesday morning, so it's been about 24 hours since I checked in. So I was in a bit of a, not a book slump, but after I'd finished reading Secrets of the Brother, I wasn't sure what to read. It'd been so good, I'd enjoyed it so much, and I was planning on reading Anti-Hero by Sara Cate, but I just wasn't 100% sure I fancied it. And coming off the Zoe Blake book, I wanted something a bit different. And then, as luck would have it, I got the opportunity to get an advanced reader copy of Discarded by Aster. Now, this is a short story, just approximately 60 pages or so, and it's a second part in a new series that this author has written. So basically, Aster is the an alternative writing name for Daisy O'Donnell, and Daisy O'Donnell as an author normally writes alien abduction romances. She's done the Earth's Bounty series, and she decided she wanted to try a hand at some monster romances, and she has built a short story series around the Monster Gentlemen's Club, basically. And a couple of weeks ago I read the first instalment, which again was just about 60 pages long, and that was called Defiled, which I absolutely loved. It's a short, like I say, it's a short story. It's mainly erotic romance, but it was so compelling. I enjoyed it so much, and it ended on quite a good cliffhanger where I really wanted to read the second instalment. So when I got the opportunity to pick up Discarded a week before its release, I think it's due to be released next week, so as you're watching this video, hopefully if you're watching this video, the second part will now be out and you'll be able to download it. I think it will be available by Kindle Unlimited. But anyway, I decided I was just going to read Discarded, and it only took me just over an hour, so I downloaded it yesterday after I finished work, and sat and read it before I had to then go and make dinner, and it was a fantastic read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so much fun, and it was also a great palate cleanser, because as soon as I finished it and I'd made dinner and I sat down again for the rest of the evening, I then decided I was going to pick up Anti-Hero by Sara Cate, and I'm already racing through that at about 50% through the book, and I'm absolutely loving it as well. So before I start talking about Anti-Hero, I just want to say a few more words about Discarded. So like I say, it's a second part of this short series, and essentially the premise is that there are monsters in the world, and they have a Monster Gentlemen's Club where basically they pay humans to have sex with them. They basically get auctioned off, they can buy them for the night, then they pay for their services, but the following morning humans get their memories wiped, and this is to protect the monster sort of population, and also protect the identities of these monsters. But these women do it willingly, and they go away kind of, fairly rich. Now, in the first book, which is Defiled, we have a virgin heroine. Her name is Sarah, but they call her Mercy at the club because all of the humans get a separate name to protect their identity, so the monsters can't go and find them again afterwards. But she's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this Monster Gentlemen's Club is short of one person for the auction, and she is basically finds herself in the club in an auction against her will, and she's not really sure what is going on. And she is bought by a werewolf called Zarek, and he realises straight away that she isn't supposed to be there, doesn't know what's going on, and also that she's a virgin. However, he's bought her, he's paid a lot of money for her, and he is a beast at the end of the day, and he basically has his wicked way with her for the evening, and hence it's basically a short erotic romance, because this all happens very, very quickly, and they have their night together, a very dirty and debauched night of sexual activity, shall we say, which is absolutely fantastic. Poppy Aster does a great job of not only making it sexy, but also introducing feelings, because even though it's a very, very short book, we very, very quickly come to like these characters. We understand a little bit about them. She is very cleverly kind of explained how this world sort of works. I mean, it is really simple at the moment. There's not too many complex layers, but in a very short amount of time, I really liked it because she got in a lot of backstory, a lot about them as individuals. And yes, while the biggest proportion of this book was, like I say, the erotic element of the book, equally I felt that she managed to get in quite a lot of emotion, so that by the time we get to the end, where Sarah is then injected with a chemical that is going to erase her memory and sent on her way, you're really feeling like, how could Zarek do that? How could he let her go? Because it's clear that she is ultimately going to be his fated mate. And then it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger where she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything, but she doesn't feel very well for a couple of days, and then she loses her job at a pub where she works because she hasn't shown up for work for 2 days, and she is struggling for money. Her home life is not that great. Her dad's a bit of an arsehole, and so she goes to seek out a new job. Now, she also realises that there's loads of money in her bank account, but she doesn't know how it's got there. And she is scared to spend it in case the owner kind of comes and claims it back. So she's kind of put it into a high interest savings account out of the way. It's not touching it. And so she still basically needs a job. And then she happens to be on the bus one day, sees a flyer for a waitress in this gentleman's club. And lo and behold, she ends up going to get a job in the very club where she was auctioned off. So that is where book one ends. So like I said, it does end on quite a big cliffhanger. And then when we pick up book two, we pick it up where she is now working in this club, and Zarek knows she's working there. Now he's forbidden to basically pursue her because that's the rules of how the club works. But he's getting stronger and stronger feelings for her, so starting to suspect that maybe she's his fated mate, and kind of wants to be with her. And then this is where we start to realise that there are kind of bad factions as well as good factions in this monster community, and that by caring about this girl, Zarek is actually putting her in danger. So there's more activity that happens in this book, and he takes it upon himself to kind of capture her in order to keep her safe. And yeah, that's basically kind of where we move on with the story. So really another great instalment. Again, a fantastic ending, a really good cliffhanger, and I'm really looking forward to the third part, which will be coming out in just a few weeks, I believe, because Poppy Aster says that she's almost finished writing it. So I was really thrilled to get an art copy of that book. Like I say, it's out in just a week's time, and hopefully by this video goes up, it will already be available so you can download it. But I would highly recommend. It was such a fun, fast read, really short story. So if you've got just an hour of time you want to spend reading something, I would highly recommend. And like I said, it was a great palate cleanser to get me into the next book, which I wanted to read, which is a new book by Sara Cate, Anti-Hero. So then I started Anti-Hero. So the premise of this book is that we are following the hero Adam, and he is the son of a preacher man. So basically his father is extremely religious. He's the local preacher at the local church, and he has got quite a big following, so he's quite famous. They televise his sermons. Loads of people in the community go, and he's well known in the community for trying to eradicate badness from society, including any kind of strip clubs or sex clubs that pop up in the community, and he tries to close them down. And at the start of this book, we kind of get a prologue through Adam's eyes, where we know that his mother is a very good Christian woman. She has raised, I think there's 4 children. So there's Adam, he's the oldest, and there's twins, Caleb and Liam, I think. I can't 100% remember, but something like that. And then the youngest is Isaac. And in that sort of prologue, we see that Adam is just 12 years old. His dad seems to be very quick to anger. He is not that nice to his mother. He basically says, why have you had so many kids? What are they doing upstairs? The youngest has now got yogurt all over me. And just generally in a very kind of grouchy kind of mood. And he then sort of says, come on, quick, we're going to be late. And what they're actually late for is the opening of his new church. So he's moved churches to a different church where we can have a much larger congregation. And this is the first day at his new church. And they have to play the happy family, basically, to make everyone think that this family is a very, godly Christian upstanding family in the community, and he's going to be head of this church. And so this is kind of like the insight we get into it. So we know that maybe things aren't quite right. Maybe his dad isn't as Christian and godly as he pretends to be. And then we flick forward to sort of present time where Adam is 37. We know that the twins are still around, but Isaac, the youngest, has been estranged from the family for about 8 years, and no longer turns up to any kind of church activities or to Sunday dinner with the parents. Now, it's very clear that Adam is completely under his dad's sort of thumb. He believes everything his dad says. He's been brought up as a very, very good Christian man in the community, and everyone seemingly loves him. And he's dedicated his life to supporting his father and the work that his father's been doing in the church. And one of his roles is to write the sermons. So he writes the sermons and his dad kind of, I guess, performs them in this church. And then, but he tries to make it so that the normal person can understand. So instead of it being really sort of boring and old scripture and, old-fashioned style sermons, he tries to really bring it to life with, examples from the current culture and society, draws parallels with sporting examples and things like that to really bring it to life. And everyone really, really loves his sermons, and they're sort of saying, when are you going to be doing your own? And he's really working towards taking over from his father when his father retires. However, his dad is very much a narcissist. He's very egotistical, and he has clearly no intentions of ever letting his son take over. And in fact, what kicks this all off, really, or the following events, is that his dad basically says, I don't really think you're writing the sermons for me, you're writing them for yourself, and I am going to take that sermon job off you and give it to somebody else, and you can concentrate on doing other things and doing other forms of writing, but you're not going to be writing my sermons anymore. And Adam really takes this badly. It's a bit of a kick in the teeth. He's been working this whole time to support his dad, and now obviously his dad seemingly is turning away from him. Now, simultaneously, when they're having this conversation, he glances down at his desk and he sees a deed on the table, and this deed is for what he thinks must be a warehouse. It's a strange address, he doesn't really know, and he basically secretly takes a photo, and then he goes to try and find out what building his father has bought, because he doesn't know anything about it, and he's sick of being kept out of everything that his dad is doing. And when he gets to this place, he figures out that it is a gentleman's club, it's a sex club. And when he goes inside to investigate, he finds his father there in a VIP room having sex with a young 24-year-old girl. So this kicks off the chain of events now, which we're moving into, where he is trying to seek revenge on his father. He's really, really angry about what he's found out. He feels very, very betrayed because his father sort of lied to him his whole life, and the very clubs that he's been trying to close down are the ones that he's been frequenting. So Adam is very, very angry. He is very filled with a lot of rage, and he really wants revenge. And that's where the heroine comes in, because the heroine is kind of works at this club. She is sort of part owner, but her boyfriend has sort of done the dirty on her. So she's invested a lot of money in this club, but her boyfriend has never really given her the opportunity to help run this place. But she loves it anyway, and Adam and her had a bit of a meet cute in a restaurant before before this incident, and then when he goes in there and sees her, they kind of form this friendship where they decide to seek revenge together. So she'll seek revenge against her boyfriend who has sold the deed to Adam's father under her nose, and therefore she no longer, feels like she's part of the club. And also Adam can seek revenge on his dad by doing something scandalous. So they hatch this plan basically to ruin Adam's reputation to get back at his father, because he knows he can't attack his father directly. So what he's going to do, which is this plan, is to ruin his own reputation so that by proxy his father's reputation will be ruined too. And that's now the situation we find ourselves in. So like I said, it wasn't something I definitely wanted to read it. It was a Sara Cate book, and I love the Salacious Players Club, so I was absolutely sold on reading this one. But I also wasn't 100% sure I wanted to read it based on what the topic of the book was about. I wasn't sure it was really something that I was going to enjoy, but I have to say I am thoroughly enjoying it so far. It's really, really great, and it really gets you to think about how you would feel in that situation, but also you really, really can't wait for Adam to get full revenge on his father and see how that unfolds. So I will carry on reading that later. I've got to start work now because it's early Tuesday morning, but I've got to go to work now, and then but when I finish later, hopefully I'll get the rest of the book finished this evening. So thank you very much for watching so far, and I'll see you in my next clip. Well, hello. It is now Friday morning. It's the end of a very long week. I need to start to do my cleaning in a bit before I log into work. But I do have a free weekend this weekend with no plans. So I'm really looking forward to getting a couple of videos edited, recorded and edited, and just spending some time with books. But since I last spoke to you, I did finish The Antihero by Sara Cate, and I really enjoyed it and rated it 4 stars. I thought it was a brilliant first addition to the series, and Sara Cate's really set up this family really well so that the brothers get their own books. I believe the next one coming out is The Home Wrecker, which comes out in January next year. So I've already got that on my list of new releases for next year. Definitely will be picking that up when it's available. I can't remember kind of where I got up to. I think I was about the 50% mark, so I'm not going to give you too much more of the plot because I don't want to spoil the storyline if you're going to pick it up and read it yourself, except to say that I thought it was really, really well done. Sara Cate towed the line really well, I think, with the religious elements of the book, without being really disrespectful, but also keeping in mind the hero's faith and what he believes, and I just thought it was done really well. Really good, sexy, spicy scenes, and very interesting family dynamic and how everything eventually plays out, and also how spending so much time together, Adam and what was her name? Sorry, I had to look that up. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. I kept thinking Sarah, but it was actually Sage. So Adam and Sage. So yeah, I really liked the way that they spent a lot of time together, got to really know each other, and how they were obviously always attracted to each other, but they were trying to stick to their rules and have it all be fake until eventually it's not fake anymore. And he realises that he really cares about her, but then coming to terms with that, and also how they as a couple are going to bridge their differences. So when they finally realise they both have feelings for each other, how are they going to bridge their differences? How are they going to make it work long term, because they are completely opposites attract? And how could they coexist in a place where, he's essentially a preacher and she is a manager of a sex club? So I just thought it was done really well, handled really well. And yeah, like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed it and really looking forward to the next one in the series. So if you're thinking about picking it up and weren't sure, I'd definitely say give it a go. So I always go into a bit of a book slump after I've read a book. Not a book slump, but I always go straight on to read another one. But then I can never decide what to read next, because if I've really loved something, I want something very similar to that, or maybe I want something completely different as a bit of a palate cleanser. And I was looking through my TBR and I didn't know what I fancied, and I had lots of options. Obviously there's more books than hours in the day, So I eventually decided I was going to pick up the next book in the Adelaide Forest Mafia series, which is Forgivable Sins, which is book 2 in the Bellandi Crime Family. So I sat down and started to read that last night. I'm 32% of the way through that already, and already really enjoying this one. And in this one we've got Lino, and he is he's Angelino, so they call him, well, I think Lino, but if it's Angelino it must be Lino, right? Anyway, he is the cousin of Matteo, who is a hero from book 1, and he's secretly, well, not so secretly, he's been in love with the same girl since he was 10 years old, Samara, but when he was growing up, she was actually the daughter of the maid who ran his father's house, and he was very, very close friends with her and her brother, and his father really, really disapproved and didn't want him hanging around with the servants, basically. Lino really stuck to his guns and obviously continued a friendship with them, and he'd made a promise to Samara that he would end up marrying her and that they would be married. But that didn't happen. I think to keep her safe and to protect her from his father, they remained very much as best friends throughout their lives, but he let her date other people, and eventually she married another man. And this book starts where she has recently split up from her husband. They are trying to she's trying to divorce her husband, but what we know as the reader is that her husband was very abusive towards her, and sexually assaulted her, and also left her with some bruises and cuts to her feet because she had to escape by walking over some broken glass. She hasn't told Lino about this because she knows that he'll go crazy and probably try and kill her ex-husband, and she doesn't want blood on his hands. Obviously, she knows that he's from a dangerous family, but I'm not sure she's fully aware of just how dangerous he is. And also, she hasn't told her brother either, who would also make sure that her husband was punished appropriately for what he'd done. But Lino is waiting for her to become properly divorced so that he can make his move and finally declare his love for her and make sure that he follows through on his promise when he was little to marry her off. But he's sort of stalling because he wants to wait till she's actually divorced. And this divorce is taking a long time because her husband is really dragging his heels and doesn't want the divorce to go through. But then one night it comes to a bit of a head because the husband, not only being abusive, he's also in some debt and serious trouble with another kind of loan shark in the town, and he comes into her house where Samara is looking for money, and obviously she confronts him and he has another go at attacking her, strangles her and puts some really bad bruises and everything around her throat, and she manages to make it call her neighbour who comes to help her, but then the neighbour says this is the final straw and I'm gonna call Lino. So she does, and then Lino comes obviously over to make sure that she's okay, takes her home with him, and now he's vowing that she isn't going to leave his side. They're absolutely going to be together. She isn't safe on her own and he needs to protect her, and also he's going to try and hunt down the husband and I assume since he's in the mafia, take him to his basement and torture him before he kills him. So that is what we're waiting for now. That is a part of the story I'm up to. Again, really, really enjoying it. I really liked the first book that I read from Adelaide Forest, and really enjoying this one so far as well. I'll check in with you when I've finished the book. So it's now Saturday morning. I think we've pretty much been vlogging on and off for a week. I had a really good reading week, and we started out with Secrets of the Brother by Zoe Blake. I picked up Discarded by Poppy Aster. Then I read The Anti-Hero by Sara Cate, and I have just finished Forgivable Sins by Adelaide Forest. So it's been a good reading week, and it's now Saturday, like I said. This morning I went out for breakfast and coffee and a wander around town with my sister and brother-in-law, and when I got back I recorded a video, and I had about 30% left of Forgivable Sins, so I've just finished reading that so that I can finish off this vlog, and then I can edit the two videos together so they'll go up towards the end of the month. So they're my plans for today. But in terms of Forgivable Sins, I really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. If you've seen my review of the first one in the series, which was Bloody Hands, I gave that one 4 stars as well. I really did like it. I like Adelaide Forrest's writing style. I like the kind of this Bellandi family that she's sort of created, and how they all operate, and some of the characters, and I think some of the upcoming books are very intriguing. So we've met a character called Riker, and we know his is book 3, which I'm excited to read. And also we have found out a bit more about Scar, who is the bodyguard of the heroine from book 1, and he gets a book later on in the series as well. So I am really looking forward to reading his book as well. So I think overall Adelaide Forrest has done a really good job in creating this kind of crime family, and developing some of the heroes early doors, so that we are invested in their stories and want to watch their, read about their romances. So I'm not sure how well I described the first part, because I can't remember what I said in my first clip, but basically this second instalment focuses on Lino and Samara, and they have been childhood best friends. Lino's been in love with her since he was 10 years old, but to keep her safe and protected from his father, he basically had to watch her ultimately move on and marry another man. And at the start of this book, she has left her husband. He was abusive towards her, sexually assaulted her, and also beat her, and now she's trying to get divorced. And Lino is basically biding his time until the divorce is through, and then he's going to basically stake his claim. However, before that, we find out that the husband is stalling on the divorce. He's in debt with another loan shark in town, and Lino becomes aware that his the love of his life has been beaten by her ex-husband. So he forces through the divorce, forces her to marry him for his protection, for his family name, and goes about trying to hunt down the ex-husband in order to seek his own brand of justice. Of course, the ex-husband becomes very elusive, so it's really setting it up to be kind of, not the third act breakup, but the third act conflict. So basically we know that probably she's going to get into danger, some sort of danger, and Lino is going to have to save her at some point. And also Adelaide Forrest weaves in a couple of other suspicious characters, or makes their activity suspicious, so we're wondering if they're going to be part of it, helping the ex-husband, or what's kind of going to go down. So I think she did a good job in telling this story. I definitely believe that these two people were sort of best friends and in love. Again, a bit like the second book, the first book in the series, there was parts of the plot that I didn't 100% buy. So for example, they've always been best friends. They promised that they would get married when they were children, and then they obviously didn't, and so she thinks Lino doesn't like her in that way, and that they generally are just friends. And then she becomes very much convinces herself that the only reason he's marrying her now is purely for protection, and that there's no feelings there. And she lets herself easily be persuaded that he doesn't have any feelings for her, that he's going to cheat on her, he's not going to be a faithful husband. And there's all these kind of she gets up in her own head basically about their relationship. So part of me, I didn't think that ran true. I always really hate it in these kinds of storylines where the woman is a little bit or lacks a bit of confidence, and the the hero in the story thinks it's so obvious that he's in love with the heroine that he doesn't need to say the words, and this leads to miscommunication between them, and the heroine is so quick to jump on any negativity, or if someone plants a seed in her mind that maybe he's cheating on her or something bad is happening, that ultimately she believes it straight away without asking any questions, or really thinking about, would my best friend of all these years and now my husband really do these things that this other person has said. So that's the only bit that I kind of didn't enjoy about this book, because there is a moment in there where Samara is easily swayed by another person to believe that her husband is is maybe not as in love with her or as faithful to her as she believes he is. And I don't like the fact that that's ultimately like, oh, some random person's just giving you this information, so you're going to believe it without asking any questions or really thinking about it for yourself too much. But I know it's I know it's a plot point. It's something to add a bit of interest to the story, add a bit of conflict for the characters, and obviously gives a reason for them to be separated or for her to run away from her bodyguard and all of that jazz. So I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it that much, but like I said, overall I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. But I just think there was just some weak parts in the plot, really. But overall, I really did enjoy it. So like I said, I felt like I've had a really good reading week. So I am going to end it there. I'm going to go off and edit the videos. I'm not sure when I'll do another vlog because I'm expecting that it probably won't be that popular. And also I'll be doing my monthly wrap up in a week or 2. And therefore I'll be covering off these books again anyway. So if you did watch it though, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for watching my videos and for making it this far. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and I'll see you next time. I thought again that there was a few weak parts in the plot that I just didn't 100% agree with or gel with, yeah, which meant I didn't give it 5 stars. Not that I would have anyway, would I? But anyway, I don't know what I've said or what I can cut out there, but I would say, yeah. Again, the bit that so I've just finished reading Forgivable Sins by Adelaide Forest. Forgot who it was by for a minute there. Oh, start again. But Lino stuck to his, stuck to his, I can't think, it's so early in the morning now, I'm not sure. Stuck to his guns.